Everyone always has that question in their head. How did this all happen? How are we all here today? And the answer? Well, it's still a question. Or is it?
The Big Bang is the main scientific explanation for how the universe began in its current form. But the name makes it sound like there's just a massive explosion in the middle of empty space.
That's exactly how I pictured it.
Well, most people do, but it's not quite right. The Big Bang was an explosion inside of the universe. It was the universe itself expanding. Space was extremely hot, dense, and compressed. And then it started stretching out.
So it wasn't stuff flying into space. Space itself was getting bigger.
Exactly. And as it expanded, it cooled. Over billions of years, that allowed particles, atoms, stars, galaxies, planets, and eventually life to form.
And we know this because everything is still moving apart?
Well, that's one of the main reasons. Galaxies are moving further away from each other, and the further away they are, the faster they seem to be moving. So if you rewind that, the universe gets smaller, hotter, and denser.
Like rewinding the universe back to the first frame.
Pretty much. Another huge piece of evidence is the cosmic microwave background. It's ancient light from where the universe had cooled from light to travel freely.
So we can actually see the baby version of the universe?
In a way, yes. It's not exactly the beginning, but it's one of the oldest things that we can observe.
That's crazy. We've got a baby photo of everything.
And this is where the Big Bang gets interesting. It explains how the universe developed from an early hot, dense state. But it doesn't fully answer why there was a universe in the first place.
So the Big Bang answers what happened early on, not why does anything exist?
Exactly. And that gap is where the deeper theories begin. Cosmic inflation is basically the idea that very early on, the universe expanded infinitely fast.
Like how fast?
So faster that it sounds impossible. But the idea isn't that objects were moving through space faster than light. It's that space itself was stretching.
Physics loves the technicality.
It really does. Inflation helps explain something strange about the universe. When scientists look into the opposite direction of space, the universe looks surprisingly even. Same broad temperatures, same general structure, same kind of rules.
Why is that weird?
Because some regions are so far apart that they shouldn't have had time to affect each other. Inflation solves that by saying that the early universe was once a tiny connected region. Then it expanded so fast that those connected parts ended up incredibly far away.
So it was close together, got stretched out, and now everything still carries the same early pattern.
Exactly. Imagine a tiny mark on a balloon. Inflate the balloon quickly, and that mark spreads across a much bigger surface.
But what made the balloon inflate?
Well, that's the part we don't fully know. Inflation is powerful because it explains a lot, but it also raises new questions. What caused that extreme burst of expansion? And why did it stop?
So even the theory that explains the weirdness has its own weirdness.
Well, that's basically the theme of the video.
Big Bounce already sounds less serious.
It sounds like that, but the idea is taken seriously in some cosmology models. The Big Bounce says that the Big Bang might not have been the absolute beginning. Instead, our expanded universe could have come from a previous universe that collapsed.
So before our universe was growing, something else was shrinking.
That's the idea. A previous universe contracts, reaches an incredibly dense state, and instead of ending completely, it bounces into a new expansion.
So existence doesn't start, it rebounds.
Exactly. And one reason people are interested in this is because the idea of an absolute beginning is hard to deal with. If time itself began at the Big Bang, then asking what came before it might not make sense. But if there was a bounce, then maybe there was a before.
Could that previous universe have had people in it?
Or maybe in theory, but not necessarily. Might have had completely different conditions. Even if something did exist before, a bounce probably wouldn't preserve normal records of memory.
So an entire universe could have happened before us and nobody would ever know.
That's the unsettling part. It could be a cosmic reset, where everything from before is lost.
That's rude. They just let it fade.
Well, the big problem is that we don't know if a bounce is physically possible. A collapsed universe might have just hit a singularity, where our current physics break down. For the big bounce to work, there has to be some sort of mechanism that avoids that and turns collapse into expansion.
So it's not proven, but it's a way of avoiding the idea that everything came from nowhere.
Exactly. The cyclic universe is similar to the Big Bounce, but instead of one previous universe, it suggests reality might go through cycles again and again.
Like the universe keeps restarting?
Yes. Expansion, contraction, bounce, repeat. Or in some versions, the universe doesn't collapse into the simple way people imagine, but it still goes through repeating cosmic phases.
That's weirdly comforting and horrifying at the same time.
It is. Well, the comforting part is that it removes the need for first moment. If reality is always cycled, then existence may not need a beginning.
Does that mean everything happens again exactly the same?
Well, not necessarily. Some people imagine that, but many cyclic models don't require the same events to repeat. It might not be the same Earth, the same people, or the same history. It's more about the universe having repeated phases, rather than the exact same story replaying.
So I'm not guaranteed to sit here again asking questions.
Probably not.
Good. Once is enough.
But the issue is that our universe currently appears to be expanding faster over time. If that acceleration continues forever, it becomes harder to imagine everything collapsing back down.
So the universe might not restart, it might just stretch out forever.
Well, that's one possibility. Cyclic theories need a proper reason for the cycle to keep happening. Without that, the whole idea becomes more like a cosmic hope than a working explanation.
But I get why people like it. No first moment, no final answer, just reality always doing something.
Well, yeah, it changes the question from how did existence begin to did existence ever begin at all? The multiverse is the idea that our universe might not be the only one.
Ah, so this is where I find out there's another version of me who's got his life together.
Possibly, but the serious version is less like a movie and more like a consequence of certain physics. Some models suggest our universe could be one region of a much larger reality.
What would these other universes even be like?
Well, they could have different laws, different particles, different histories, maybe even different constants of nature. Some people allow stars and planets. Others might collapse instantly or never form anything complex.
So not every universe would be interesting.
Exactly. Some might be completely empty or physically impossible for life. The reason the multiverse matters is because it can help explain why our universe seems so specific.
Specific as in the rules are just right for us to exist?
Well, yeah. If there are many universes with different settings, then it's not shocking at least that one of them allows observers. We would obviously find ourselves in a universe where we can exist.
That makes sense, but it also feels like a bit of a dodge.
That's one of the criticisms. If other universes are completely beyond observation, how do we test the idea? Science needs evidence, and the multiverse is difficult because it may sit beyond what we can directly measure.
So it could explain everything while being impossible to prove.
That's why it's controversial. Some scientists see it as a serious possibility. Others think it's drifting too far into speculation.
Still, I see why people are obsessed with it. One universe already feels unlikely. Infinite universes, it's just showing off.
Fine-tuning is the idea that the universe seems strangely balanced for life to exist.
Balanced how?
The forces and constants of physics seem to sit in ranges that allow atoms, stars, chemistry, planets, and eventually life. If some of them were very different, the universe might not produce anything complex.
So reality has the settings turned just right.
That's the basic point. But people disagree massively on what that actually means.
I can already guess. Some people say design, some people say luck.
Yeah, I mean, one answer is that the universe was designed or intended. Another is that there are many universes, and we're in one of the rare ones that work. Another possibility is that future physics will show that constants couldn't really have been anything different.
So either someone set the rules, we won the cosmic lottery, or we don't understand the rules yet.
Yeah, a fine-tuning argument doesn't automatically prove one answer. It just points out the fact that the universe is oddly suitable for life.
And then everyone fights over why.
Pretty much. It sits right on the edge of physics, philosophy, and religion. That's why it's one of the biggest existence questions. It's not just, how does the universe work? It's, why does the universe work in a way that lets us be here?
Which is annoying, because every answer creates another problem.
Welcome to existence. String theory tries to explain what reality is made of at the deepest level. Instead of the smallest thing being point-like particles, string theory says that they could be tiny vibrating strings.
Like microscopic guitar strings?
It's the easiest way to imagine it. Different vibrations would appear as different particles. So what we would call particles might actually be different notes played by these tiny strings.
That's probably the first theory that has made any visual sense.
It's popular because it gives a possible way to connect quantum mechanics and gravity. Quantum mechanics explains the tiny world incredibly well. General relativity explains gravity and space-time incredibly well. But when you try to combine them in extreme situations, they don't fit neatly together.
So string theory is trying to make the two biggest physics theories stop arguing.
Exactly. The catch is that string theory usually needs extra dimensions.
Of course it does. Couldn't just keep it normal.
We experience 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time. String theory often requires more spatial dimensions, but they may be curled up so small that we don't experience them directly.
That sounds like when someone loses something and says, it's not gone, it's just somewhere tiny.
The other issue is testing it. String theory is mathematically rich, but finding direct experimental proof has been extremely difficult.
So it could be the deepest explanation of reality, or it could be a beautiful idea that never gets proven.
Well, that is the tension. It might not be pointing towards something real, but right now it's not confirmed as the final theory of existence. The first cause theory is one of the oldest attempts to explain existence. It starts with a simple question. If everything has a cause, what caused the universe?
And then what caused the thing that caused the universe?
Exactly. Well, that's the obvious problem. The first cause argument says that the chain can't go backwards forever. At some point, there must be something that doesn't need a cause in the same way everything else does.
Usually people mean God when they say that, don't they?
Well, in many versions, yes. But the broader argument is philosophical. It says that the universe is made of things that could not have existed, and things like that need an explanation. So maybe existence depends on something necessary.
Something that has to exist.
Yeah, something outside of the normal chain of causes.
But couldn't you just say the universe itself is the thing that has to exist?
But that's one of the strongest objections. Critics argue that if you're allowed to stop the chain with a necessary cause, maybe you could stop it with the universe itself.
So it becomes a question of where you're allowed to stop asking why.
That's actually very close. First cause theory does not give you a telescope footage or lab evidence. It gives you an argument about whether existence needs a deeper foundation.
So it's not really physics, it's philosophy trying to handle the bit physics can't reach.
Pretty much.
This is the one that makes people stare at the ceiling at 2 a.m.
Simulation theory says our reality could be artificial. Not fake in the sense that nothing matters, but possibly generated by something outside our universe.
Like a computer simulation.
Yes, but the strongest version isn't just technology is getting good, therefore we're in a game. Philosopher Nick Bostrom argued that if advanced civilization can create huge numbers of realistic ancestral simulations, then simulated minds could massively outnumber original ones.
So statistically, we might be more likely to be simulated than base reality.
It's an unsettling argument, yes, but there are other options. Maybe civilizations never reach that level. Maybe they reach it, but don't run on those simulations. Or maybe simulations are impossible for reasons we don't understand.
That's still not very comforting.
No, but it's important not to turn every weird conscious into proof of simulation. A strange moment in your life is not evidence that reality is glitched.
Even when my phone listens to me and shows me an advert 5 minutes later?
It's probably just data tracking. Slightly less cosmic, still creepy.
Fair.
But the deeper question is what real even means. If your thoughts, feelings, relationships, and experiences are real to you, would it even matter if the world was running on a deeper system?
Yes, I'd still want to know.
Yeah, most people would. That's why simulation theory sticks into people's heads. It doesn't just question the universe, it questions the ground underneath the universe. The Boltzmann brain is one of the strangest ideas in this whole video.
That's not a good sign.
It comes from thinking about randomness in a huge amount of time. In a universe that lasts long enough, random fluctuations could theoretically create temporary pockets of order.
What kind of order?
In the most disturbing version, a brain. A conscious brain could randomly appear with false memories, believing it has actually lived an entire life.
Absolutely not.
The idea is not that physicists genuinely think you are probably a random brain floating in space. It's more like a test for theories of the universe. If a cosmological model predicts that random hallucinating brains are more common than normal observers, that model has a serious problem.
So it's a warning sign.
Yes, a good theory should explain why we are ordinary observers in a stable universe, not random flashes of consciousness with fake memories.
I hate that this even needs explaining.
Yeah, it's fair, but the Boltzmann brain matters because it shows how careful you have to be when talking about infinite time, probability, and observers. Panpsychism is the idea that consciousness might be a basic feature of reality.
As in everything's conscious?
Well, not conscious like humans. A rock isn't having a bad day. But panpsychism says that the basic ingredients of the universe might have some extremely simple form of experience.
That sounds ridiculous at first, but consciousness itself is ridiculous. So carry on.
But that's why people take it seriously. Science can describe brain activity, neurons, memories, and behavior. But there's still a hard question. Why does it all feel like something from the inside?
Like, why am I not just a machine responding to stuff with no inner experience?
Well, yeah, panpsychism tries to avoid the idea that consciousness suddenly appeared from completely unconscious matter. Instead, it suggests consciousness was always there in a basic form, and brains organize into something completely richer.
So consciousness isn't created out of nowhere, it's built up.
And that's the idea, but it has a huge problem. If tiny bits of reality have tiny bits of experience, how do they combine into one mind?
Yeah, because I don't feel like a group project.
The problem is called the combination problem. Panpsychism offers an interesting answer into why consciousness exists, but it still has to explain how simple experience becomes a human mind.
So it solves one impossible question by creating a new impossible question.
Pretty much. Existentialism is different because it doesn't try to explain how the universe began. It asks what existence means once you're already here.
So instead of why is there a universe, it's what am I supposed to do with my life?
Exactly. Existentialism says humans aren't born with a fixed purpose already written for them. Meaning is something that we create through choices, actions, relationships, and responsibility.
That sounds freeing, but also stressful.
It's both. If there's no fixed script, then you aren't trapped by one. But it also means that you can't avoid the responsibility of choosing what matters.
So existence doesn't come with instructions.
Right. Existentialists are interested in the uncomfortable parts of being human. Freedom, death, anxiety, uncertainty, and the feeling that the universe doesn't automatically explain itself.
Honestly, this might be the most realistic theory so far.
Well, yeah, because it brings the whole question back down to human life. Even if we never fully solve the universe, we still have to live inside one.
So meaning isn't found floating in space, it's made while you're here.
That's the existentialist answer. Thanks for watching.
If this video made you question existence, then honestly, same.